So this pathetic background character gets isekai to another world and becomes the most broken healer imaginable. But here's what nobody tells you about the journey. His psychotic mentor puts him through training so brutal it makes waterboarding look like a spa day. And by the end of this story, you'll understand exactly why healing magic is the most terrifying power in existence when you're willing to suffer for it. We're opening on your standard high school anime setup where the popular kids are strutting down the hallway like they personally own the oxygen everyone's breathing, and all the background NPCs are whispering and gawking like their entire existence revolves around watching other people live. Leading this circus is Suzune, who's not just student council president, but also this total overachiever who probably has her entire life color-coded in a spreadsheet. And walking beside her is Kazuki, this pretty boy vice president, who together they form this power couple, except they're not actually together, which drives everyone nuts. Then we meet the main guy, Yuzado, and oh boy is this kid the living definition of mediocre, just your average student completely convinced he's invisible to the entire world, the type of dude who blends into backgrounds so effectively he could be mistaken for decorative furniture. His biggest life achievement so far is climbing a tree to return some baby birds to their nest, because apparently that's what passes for excitement when your daily routine is emptier than a celebrity's apology. But buried somewhere in his virgin simpleton brain, Yuzado secretly dreams about something more meaningful that could yank him out of this boring existence, where his most challenging decision involves choosing which vending machine drink to buy. Cut to a rainy afternoon, and this absolute genius forgot his umbrella, spends exactly 2 seconds considering stealing someone else's, but he's way too nice going full villain mode over some precipitation, so instead he camps under a roof, praying the weather gods show mercy while slowly transforming into a soggy human statue. He's standing there for literal hours, resembling a sad garden ornament, until Suzune randomly materializes, reminding him that students loitering after school hours violates approximately 17 different regulations because apparently this institution has more rules than a federal penitentiary. Just when Yuzado accepts his fate of sprinting home looking like a drowned cat, Kazuki appears out of nowhere handing him a spare umbrella, and Yuzado's entire worldview shatters because he genuinely believed Kazuki didn't know his name or acknowledge his existence as a carbon-based life form. Even more mind-blowing is Kazuki actually being genuinely kind instead of the stereotypical player everyone assumes based purely on his appearance, and they decide heading home together while Suzune casually mentions this might be fate connecting them. Yuzado, being the closet nerd he is, immediately compares this to some ultra-rare video game event triggering in his head. Walking home with the two most popular people at school makes him feel like he won some cosmic lottery, and he nearly destroys the entire vibe by announcing everyone's going to be jealous. But thankfully, the universe grants him mercy by making nobody hear his socially awkward declaration. While they're walking, Yuzado confesses to Kazuki that he always assumed he was just some smooth-talking player who viewed girls as collectible trophies. But Kazuki explains he genuinely talks to girls because he empathizes with their situations, which is either the greatest cover story ever constructed or he's legitimately that wholesome. Suzune laughs, saying she'd rather converse with guys anyway because apparently girls are exhausting drama factories that require PhD-level emotional navigation, and she's clearly operating on a completely different plane of existence from Yuzado. Intelligent, athletic, beautiful inside and out, basically the kind of person who makes average humans question their life choices. Yuzado essentially transforms into a pathetic fanboy right there on the sidewalk, and then his mouth operates faster than his brain, asking the question burning in everyone's mind. Are Suzune and Kazuki secretly dating or just torturing the entire school with unresolved sexual tension? The atmosphere shifts awkward faster than explaining your browser history to your parents, but they clarify things, explaining they only interact because of student council obligations, not because they're making out, behind the gymnasium. Yuzado apologizes for asking something so invasively stupid, but Suzune waves it off, saying direct questions beat gossip, spreading behind backs like cowards do. As they continue walking, the three start discussing future plans, and shockingly none of them have any concrete direction, which is simultaneously hilarious and depressing. Even Suzune, who's already a senior, admits she hasn't determined her path yet, because when you're exceptional at literally everything, nothing provides adequate challenge anymore, and existence becomes this boring wasteland of accomplished objectives. She casually drops this emotional bomb, saying she feels like she doesn't belong in this world, which absolutely stuns Yuzado because she's practically perfect, yet feels completely lost. Something resonating deeply in his mediocre soul. Suddenly, Suzune and Kazuki freeze mid-step, like someone activated a pause button on reality, and they're hearing bells ringing intensely, while Yuzado detects absolutely nothing, which immediately signals he's about to get royally screwed by cosmic forces. Before he can vocalize confusion about the situation, a glowing magic circle materializes beneath their feet, and Yuzado's confusion-addled brain recognizes this might be a portal to another dimension, because he's consumed enough isekai content recognizing obvious setup. Suzune, instead of screaming or panicking like normal humans do, gets legitimately excited, inquiring if they'll encounter monsters and legendary heroes, because apparently her definition of entertainment involves mortal danger. Yuzado is completely shocked by her reaction, but before his brain processes anything happening, the ground illuminates like a rave gone catastrophically wrong, and they vanish from existence completely. When Yuzado regains consciousness, he discovers himself in some ridiculously grand hall, standing face to face with an actual king, while desperately trying not to urinate himself from sheer terror. Kazuki is absolutely losing his mind, which honestly makes complete sense because who maintains composure during interdimensional kidnapping? But Susan, she's savoring every microsecond like she just received front row seats to her favorite event, except the event is being abducted against her will. The king introduces himself with the monumentally basic name Lloyd, which sounds like he should be managing a coffee shop instead of ruling an entire kingdom, and he attempts maintaining formal dignity. Kazuki, however, isn't tolerating this diplomatic theater and aggressively demands explanations for why they were forcibly removed from their dimension, and the king's personal guard nearly separates his head from his shoulders for disrespecting royalty because apparently freedom of speech is a foreign concept in fantasy realms. Lloyd calms the situation before someone becomes permanently decapitated and explains they've been summoned to this world as heroes because the narrative demanded it. 2 years previously, this kingdom suffered attacks from a demon army. They somehow fought back without complete annihilation, but now the demon king is regaining strength like a villain refusing to accept defeat. The kingdom is utilizing a forbidden spell called Hero Summoning to recruit powerful individuals from alternate dimensions for assistance because apparently their native soldiers are incompetent garbage, incapable of handling threats. Kazuki absolutely detonates mentally at this revelation because he doesn't care about demon lords or heroic quests or saving random kingdoms. He exclusively wants his normal existence back where his biggest concern involved which girl to flirt with next. But here's the plot twist making everything exponentially worse. The summoning spell operates exclusively one way, like a cosmic roach motel, meaning there's zero possibility of return, no escape route, no going home, ever. The king profusely apologizes, promising attempts at discovering a return method eventually, but currently, he desperately needs their assistance preventing total annihilation. Suzune finally crashes back to reality from her fantasy adventure, high questioning how they were selected if the kingdom possesses zero information about their identities or capabilities. A stereotypically nerdy mage named Welsi steps forward explaining that individuals hearing bells before summoning are cosmically chosen as heroes through some mystical lottery system. Terrible news for Yuzado, though. He heard absolutely nothing, meaning he's not actually a hero, just some random bystander caught in magical crossfire like collateral damage. Welsi escorts them to a special crystal displaying magical abilities, and Kazuki checks if Yuzado is mentally handling this insanity unfolding around them. Yuzado just shrugs acceptance because he's honestly thrilled about possibly accessing magic, even if he's not some destined chosen one. Suzune goes first, touching the crystal, which immediately glows yellow, indicating she possesses thunder magic, and ridiculous mana reserves flowing through her like a portable electrical substation. She's absolutely ecstatic with this outcome because apparently electrocuting enemies is her idea of quality entertainment. Next up is Kazuki, who barely grazes the crystal, and it transforms white, signifying light magic, exceptionally rare and powerful energy perfect for obliterating demons and ruining their entire day. Suzune instantly hypothesizes he can probably manifest laser beams or construct weapons from pure light like some kind of anime protagonist, and Yuzado playfully mocks her for being such an enthusiastic nerd about magical mechanics. But she secretly appreciates being called out for her passion. Now it's Yuzado's turn, and he's just desperately hoping the crystal produces even the smallest glow, confirming he's not completely worthless in this new dimension. The crystal does activate turning green, and everyone comments the color appears calming and peaceful, like healing herbs or restorative nature magic. But then Welsi suddenly freaks out harder than someone witnessing their internet search history broadcast publicly, and without uttering a single explanation, she physically drags Yuzado away from the group like he's contaminated with weaponized plague. Turns out green isn't merely rare, it's dangerous in ways nobody wants discussing, and Welsi frantically rushes Yuzado to the king while appearing on the verge of complete psychological collapse. The king initially laughs it off, making jokes about dark magic because apparently he thinks this is some amusing misunderstanding, but Welsi immediately shuts down his levity. She hasn't even verbalized what the magic type actually is because she's that genuinely terrified about revealing truth, and the tension in that room becomes thick enough you could carve it with a butter knife. Before she can explain anything, the king instructs guards to remove Yuzado from the castle with maximum urgency, and Yuzado is standing there completely bewildered, wondering if his power is genuinely that catastrophically dangerous, or if everyone's just overreacting. He inquires if anyone else possesses green magic, and discovers there's only one other person in the entire kingdom with this ability. A terrifying woman named Rose, who the king doesn't even want speaking her name out loud, because apparently she's that fundamentally intimidating. Unfortunately for everyone in that room, she crashes through the doors like a tornado constructed entirely from violence and terrible decisions, and every single person freezes in complete fear, resembling prey animals who just detected an apex predator. She's the captain of the kingdom's rescue team, but honestly, she radiates more final boss energy than life-saving medic vibes. She inquires about the new heroes with genuine curiosity, and the king blatantly lies, claiming Yuzado is just a normal civilian who got dragged here accidentally and definitely doesn't possess any special abilities worth mentioning. Rose isn't purchasing this obvious fabrication for even a microsecond, and she approaches Yuzado, examining him like inspecting a piece of meat at the butcher shop. When Yuzado mentions his magic color is green, everyone in that room panics harder than parents discovering their teenager's secret social media account. Rose smiles like an absolute maniac and announces she's claiming him as her property, and the king desperately begs her reconsidering because he knows exactly what kind of hell she's about to unleash on this poor kid. Before anyone can mount a rescue operation, Rose physically grabs Yuzado while Welsi attempts teleporting him to safety using a bubble spell, but Rose annihilates it like it's constructed from wet tissue paper because apparently magic means absolutely nothing to her. She's impossibly fast, ridiculously strong, and clearly not someone you want as an enemy unless you possess excellent life insurance or a genuine death wish. She catches Yuzado in literal seconds flat and announces she's going to transform him into a proper healing magic user, and Yuzado faints from the overwhelming stress of his situation. The king panics, but it's catastrophically too late because Rose is already gone, dragging Yuzado into whatever nightmare training program she's constructed in her psychotic brain. Back at the castle, Suzune and Kazuki are just sitting around accomplishing absolutely nothing productive with their lives, enjoying their lazy break until it ends abruptly when they receive shocking news that Yuzado has been taken away by some terrifying woman. Welsi quickly intervenes, calming them down before they start planning elaborate rescue missions, explaining that Yuzado's life isn't in immediate mortal danger, but things definitely aren't looking optimistic for him. He was transported to the rescue team base located just outside the castle town. And apparently healing magic users are extraordinarily rare in this world, like discovering unicorns that prepare your tax returns. The crazy woman who dragged him off is Rose, one of the only healing magic users in existence, and she's planning to forcibly convert Yuzado into becoming her apprentice, regardless of his personal preferences. Suzune can't comprehend why this is such a monumental crisis, and Welsi, clearly exhausted by their collective cluelessness, explains things like she's addressing kindergartners who need everything spelled out. Rose's method of training is fundamentally insane, bordering on criminal, and while they're having this conversation, Yuzado is already at the rescue team's base, receiving the news that will permanently alter his existence. Rose tells him directly that he's not a healer yet, but he possesses the potential buried somewhere in his worthless body, and that's precisely why she brought him to this place, which will apparently become his new home, whether he approves or not. She calls out for her team to meet him, and a group of absolutely massive, intimidating guys walk in looking like they could crush Yuzado with one hand while casually eating breakfast with the other. Yuzado is instantly terrified, because these men look like they bench press vehicles for recreational entertainment and use smaller humans as dental hygiene tools. Rose introduces them, instructing them to be friendly, but judging by their appearances, Yuzado's definition of friendly is absolutely not the same as theirs, and he's wondering if he's been delivered as a human sacrifice to appease ancient gods. The brutes attempt reassuring him they're just being welcoming, which only makes everything infinitely worse, and Yuzado thinks they don't even comprehend the basic concept of kindness or normal human social interaction. Rose continues explaining that while these meatheads are her teammates, they aren't healers themselves, and there are 2 other healing magic users on the team, but they're usually out doing missions and saving lives. Then it's time for the real conversation that makes Yuzado want to run screaming into the wilderness. Rose says she's going to cram healing magic knowledge into his skull, no matter what it takes, even if she has to physically beat it into him with her bare hands. Yuzado is still in full disbelief mode, silently begging the universe for any escape route from this nightmare. And in his most polite voice, he asks if maybe there's another teacher he could learn from, someone who won't literally kill him during instruction. Rose ignores him completely, like he didn't even speak, and announces that training commences tomorrow, bright and early. She tells one of the muscleheads named Tong to let Yuzado crash in his room, and she orders everyone to eat dinner and get proper rest before the torture begins. Once she exits the room, the reality of the situation hits Yuzado like a freight train, constructed from bad news. The rescue team boys inform him he's absolutely doomed, and there's zero escape from his fate. Rose is going to train him personally, and what she calls training is going to be worse than anything he could possibly imagine, worse than death itself. They even joke that actual hell might be a relaxing vacation compared to what's coming his way, and they laugh, while Yuzado sits there wondering what kind of nightmare dimension he just stepped into. That night, he lies awake in bed, wondering what's going to happen to him, and if he'll survive the first day of training. But surprisingly, he finds a little hope buried in his chest, thinking that maybe things won't be so catastrophically bad after all. Rose doesn't know how this will turn out either, but she's ready to forge him into something useful, or die trying. The next morning, Yuzado opens his eyes and prays to every deity he can think of that yesterday was just some weird fever dream caused by bad cafeteria food. But it's not a dream, and the cold, hard reality is that he really did get sucked into another world and kidnapped by a psychotic woman. Suzune and Kazuki show up to check on him after hearing he got basically abducted, and he puts on a brave face, telling them not to worry even though deep down, the fear of Rose's training from hell still lingers in his bones like a cancer. Even so, Yuzado is ready to face whatever comes, because he desperately wants to be useful instead of being dead weight. Suzune tells him they'll be starting their own training too, and all 3 of them agree to do their best and not die in the process. After they leave, Yuzado feels genuinely bad that they got pulled into this whole mess, but then he remembers that Suzune is actually loving every second of this fantasy world adventure like it's the best thing that ever happened to her boring life. She's more excited than a kid on Christmas morning and hopes she'll get strong enough to support the others one day. Rose appears out of nowhere and nearly gives Yuzado a heart attack because apparently sneaking up on people is her favorite hobby. She tells him this isn't a prison, and he's allowed to see anyone he wants as long as it's not during training hours, and she also gives him a journal telling him to write down his training progress and thoughts every single day. After breakfast, the training begins, and surprisingly, it's not that catastrophically bad at first, which immediately makes Yuzado suspicious. Rose has him sit down and try to feel the mana flowing inside his body like some kind of hippie meditation exercise, and his only job is to sense it and learn how to bring it out into the physical world. She gives him a book to help him study the basics, and Yuzado is genuinely surprised to see he can read the language perfectly. But it turns out all summoned heroes automatically get translation magic because the plot needs them to communicate. Rose shows him a map and points out how dangerously close the demon lands are to the kingdom, explaining that's exactly why this place is always getting attacked first, like they're on the demon's delivery route. The book is filled with information about demons and other races in this world, tons of lore and history that Yuzado needs to memorize. Day 1 is surprisingly easy, and Yuzado thinks maybe he can actually handle this training without dying or losing his sanity. But oh boy, is he wrong. Because on Day 2, everything changes faster than a politician changing their stance. It's all running non-stop like some kind of sadistic marathon, and Yuzado starts wondering if this is really how people learn magic, or if Rose is just torturing him for fun. By Day 3, he's running so much his legs completely give out, and he collapses like a puppet with cut strings. But instead of helping him or showing an ounce of mercy, Rose smacks him hard, and he's shocked to discover that she healed his muscles instantly with her magic. She tells him to stop whining like a little baby and keep going, ordering him to run like his pathetic life depends on it. She yells that if he dies, she'll just revive him and make him run again, creating an endless loop of suffering. Yuzado doesn't dare argue with this psychotic woman, and instead mentally writes all his complaints in his journal where she can't punish him for having thoughts. On Day 4, he trains with the other rescue team members, but quickly falls behind by an entire lap, because apparently he's the weakest link in this chain. They all start making fun of him and mocking his pathetic performance, and he stays quiet, saving all his anger and frustration for his journal once again. Day 5 and 6 are just more running and more getting insulted by Rose the whole time, and Yuzado's frustration builds up inside him like a pressure cooker, ready to explode. But he keeps it all bottled in because expressing emotions gets you smacked. Then during training, something absolutely crazy happens that gives him a spark of hope. He sees a faint glow of healing magic appearing on his hand like a green firefly, and it vanishes quickly, but it proves he's making progress. On Day 7, it's more of the exact same routine. Yuzado runs until he nearly drops dead, and Rose smacks him again for being too slow, and she seems angrier than usual, which makes him nervous. He starts wondering if she somehow found out he's been bad-mouthing her in his journal and is planning her revenge. Then she launches him into the sky with her magic like he's a human cannonball and tells him to start running again the second he lands. When his body crashes into the ground, Yuzado vows to write in his journal that she's nothing but a vicious gorilla wearing human skin. Day 8 is another brutal repeat of the same torture, but on Day 9, something big clicks in his brain. Yuzado realizes he can now heal his whole body instead of just small injuries, and he finally understands why healing magic is actually critically important. He desperately needs it just to survive Rose's training program. By Day 10, Yuzado discovers something else that blows his mind. He doesn't get tired anymore, no matter how much he runs, which seems physically impossible. He can now control healing magic on command whenever he wants, but he's still worried deep down because all he's done is run like a hamster on a wheel. Is this really enough preparation to help his friends in an actual battle where people die? Of course, if he asked Rose that question, she'd probably punch him in the face for doubting her methods, but actually she gets mad anyway and tells him to do 30 more laps for no reason. That's when Yuzado decides he's completely done calling her Miss Rose with any kind of respect. From this moment forward, it's just Rose, no honorifics, no politeness, pure disrespect in his brain. Day 11 arrives and the training levels up to a new circle of hell. Now it's push-ups on top of the running. Yuzado somehow makes it past 800 push-ups, which should be physically impossible for a normal human. And Rose finally explains why she's making him train this specific way. She wants him to move faster in battle so he can sprint across the battlefield like a track star on steroids. The quicker he can run, the faster he can get to injured allies and save their lives before they bleed out. On Day 12, he runs until noon, then does push-ups all the way into the night like some kind of masochistic workout routine. And by Day 13, Rose realizes Yuzado is getting legitimately stronger, so naturally she decides it's time to make things infinitely harder. She adds weights to his training because apparently she wants to turn him into a superhuman monster. Then on Day 14, disaster strikes in the most ridiculous way possible. Yuzado's lunch completely disappears. One of the muscleheads confesses to eating it like the giant food thief he is, and Yuzado absolutely snaps and finally fights back for the first time. But to everyone's complete surprise, he's already gotten used to the weights and can actually keep up with these brutes now. A week later, Susan and Kazuki come to check on Yuzado's progress, and they're completely blown away by what they witness. This guy has transformed into an absolute beast, doing hardcore push-ups like it's nothing, while Rose stands behind him, telling him not to complain about something so pathetically simple. Yuzado doesn't complain at all, and actually casually says it's easy even with Rose standing on his back because she's so light it barely registers. Amused by his attitude and newfound confidence, Rose tosses a massive rock onto his back too just to test his limits. But Yuzado doesn't quit or slow down. He just heals himself mid-exercise and finishes the push-up without even flinching like some kind of training montage protagonist. Rose is genuinely impressed by his determination and decides that she can take him somewhere important way sooner than she originally expected. Suzune stares at him with wide eyes, stunned by Yuzado's new muscular body that looks like it was carved from stone, and Kazuki admits this training must be absolutely brutal beyond human comprehension. Then a man named Siglius storms into the area looking clearly angry about something, and he accuses Rose of completely ruining Yuzado and destroying whatever potential he had. But Rose claps back immediately, saying her methods are totally different from the Knight's training program, and explaining that she's specifically training Yuzado to be her right-hand man on the battlefield. Yuzado is genuinely surprised by that revelation because he had absolutely no idea she saw him that way or valued him at all. Rose explains it's because she respects how he never gives up no matter how much pain she puts him through. He's stubborn as hell, hates losing more than anything, and most importantly, he survived everything she's thrown at him, which most people can't claim. Yuzado realizes with horror that all those moments he wanted to teach her a lesson and prove her wrong totally backfired on him. Now she sees him as the perfect student who thrives under abuse, which means the training is only going to get worse. Rose lets him take a well-deserved break and tells the others to relax too, and a girl named Celia offers to take them on a little tour of the area. Meanwhile, Siglius tells Rose that he was ordered to re-enlist her into active military duty, but he flat out refuses to follow through with that order because he knows what happened last time. Rose doesn't seem to care at all about his concerns and casually mentions that her right eye is completely useless, anyway damaged beyond repair. While they're out eating lunch together, Yuzado finds out some interesting facts about the people around him. Siglius is actually the commander of the entire kingdom's army and the strongest knight in existence, which explains why everyone respects him. He's also the one personally training Kazuki and Suzune in sword fighting and combat techniques, teaching them how to not die immediately in battle. Yuzado also finally realizes something incredibly obvious that everyone else already knew. Celia is the actual princess of the kingdom. He gets visibly flustered and embarrassed, apologizing profusely for how casually he's been acting around literal royalty this whole time. They eat some strange pie that tastes weird, and Kazuki asks if Yuzado really trains like this every single day without breaks. Yuzado tells him that today was actually significantly easier than his usual schedule, which makes everyone at the table uncomfortable. Kazuki says their training is going well too, but it's absolutely nothing compared to the nightmare Yuzado endures daily. Out of nowhere, Suzune cuts into the conversation just to check out Yuzado's muscles because apparently she's fascinated by his transformation, and the guy is legitimately jacked now like he started taking steroids. Kazuki tries desperately to steer the conversation back to something normal and asks if the training is too much for Yuzado to handle. He admits it was completely overwhelming at first, and he seriously considered quitting and running away. Rose was absolutely terrifying and everything hurt constantly, but now something changed in his brain. He doesn't want to run anymore from the challenges. The training is actually kind of fun in a twisted, masochistic way, and he's genuinely starting to like his new life here despite the constant pain. His friends are impressed by his attitude, but Yuzado insists it's not about being amazing or special. It's just that he's really stubborn and refuses to quit. He wants to be strong enough to support them properly, because one day they'll all have to fight together on a real battlefield where people die. They all laugh together when Suzune gets teased for being way too obsessed with Yuzado's muscles touching them like a creep. Then Ben, the huge meathead who stole Yuzado's lunch that one time, shows up with a replacement meal as an apology. Yuzado hasn't forgotten that betrayal though, and he's still holding a serious grudge, and he starts talking exactly like one of the rescue team brutes, which is honestly hilarious. They start arguing about the stolen lunch, and it quickly escalates into a full-on fistfight right there in public. The big guy threatens to knock Yuzado out cold, and Yuzado fires back saying he'd love to see him try because he's not the same weak kid anymore. They both start brawling like animals while everyone watches, and Celia nervously asks if it's okay to let this violent situation happen in front of the princess. Kazuki just shrugs casually and points out that this is basically part of Yuzado's daily routine now, so there's no point trying to stop it. It's painfully clear that Yuzado has completely adapted to his new violent life, and Kazuki decides he needs to get back to his own training because he doesn't want to fall behind his friend. Suzune gets ready to leave too, but now she's starting to think maybe there's a deeper reason the three of them ended up in this world together, like fate has plans for them. That night, Yuzado soaks in a hot bath and thinks to himself that he needs to keep his muscles in check so Suzune doesn't completely lose her composure again. Still, she's absolutely right about one thing. His body has changed dramatically from all the constant physical damage and healing. All the healing magic he uses after constant injury has made him insanely muscular beyond what normal training could achieve. But even with this new superhuman strength, he knows his actual job isn't about fighting enemies or winning battles. It's about saving lives on the battlefield when everything goes to hell, and now he seriously wonders if his mind is strong enough to match the incredible body he's built through suffering. The next morning, Rose tells Yuzado they're heading out somewhere, and the other rescue team members immediately get nervous because they've clearly been expecting this day with absolute dread. At the castle gates, one of the guards practically freaks out and runs away in panic when Rose tells him she's taking her trainee outside the walls, sprinting off to open the gates as fast as humanly possible. Another soldier watching this pathetic scene can't believe how intimidating Rose actually is. Just her standing there silently is enough to scare grown men into submission. Yuzado asks where exactly they're going, but Rose tells him to shut his mouth and just follow her without asking questions. Eventually, they arrive at this creepy forest called the Darkness of Linger, and this place has a terrible reputation for being filled with deadly monsters that will rip you apart. Then Rose drops the absolute bomb that changes everything. Yuzado isn't allowed to return to civilization until he's taken down a grand grizzly, one of the most dangerous creatures in existence. Yuzado thinks she's joking, and tries to explain with his limited knowledge that grand grizzlies are just blue grizzlies that have lived for over 100 years, accumulating power and rage. Even regular blue grizzlies are insanely dangerous and can kill trained soldiers, but Rose says he should be able to handle it based on his training. He desperately reminds her that all he's done so far is run in circles like a maniac. He has absolutely zero combat experience against anything. But instead of helping him or explaining a strategy, Rose just launches him through the air directly into the forest like a human projectile, and Yuzado's falling fast through the trees thinking he's absolutely done for. His healing magic suddenly activates on its own, and his entire body glows green and determined not to die in such a stupid way. He heals himself constantly during the fall and somehow manages to survive the crash landing. Now he's stuck deep in the monster-filled forest with no backup, no weapons, and no way to return until the impossible mission is complete. He tries to stay positive and tells himself it's just a bear, right? How bad could it possibly be? But when he turns around, the bear is already standing right behind him like it was waiting for this exact moment, and it's absolutely massive, way bigger than anything he expected to fight. Even its claws look sharp enough to slice through a tree trunk in one swipe. Yuzado tries to escape using his speed, thinking the bear won't be able to keep up with him, but he's completely wrong because this thing is just as fast as he is. He reminds himself that he survived Rose's nightmare training program, so logically this shouldn't be worse than that hell. Then he suddenly notices with growing horror that the bear has backup. There's more than one of these monsters. Yuzado screams at them for ganging up on him like cowards and runs for his life through the forest. He hears rushing water nearby and makes a desperate decision, jumping into a river to escape, because bears supposedly won't chase prey into water. The strategy works, and the bears eventually leave, giving up on their meal. Soaked but somehow still alive, Yuzado rests on the riverbank and feels grateful to have made it through day one of this survival nightmare. All he has for supplies is a basic ration pack and a small knife that wouldn't scare a squirrel, and he genuinely wishes Rose had at least given him something to start a fire with. Taking down a grand grizzly seems completely impossible right now, but he decides to push that terrifying thought to tomorrow and deal with it later. That night, he makes a sad makeshift bed with leaves and tries to get some sleep while wondering if he'll even survive until morning. The next day, Yuzado begins his hunting mission by realizing he desperately needs to understand his enemy better before engaging. He looks for clues throughout the forest and eventually finds scratch marks on a tree that tell him bears have been here. Suddenly, he hears rustling in the bushes and gets ready to fight for his life, but it turns out to be just a bunny, which is hilarious. Well, actually, it's a monster that just looks like an adorable rabbit, and the little creature is injured from something. Yuzado heals it without any hesitation and tells the bunny to be more careful next time, because this forest will eat you alive. He keeps moving forward, but the bunny starts following him like a lost puppy. He tries multiple times to tell it to go away, since he's searching for a dangerous bear that could kill them both, but the stubborn little creature won't leave his side. Yuzado starts thinking maybe the bunny is trying to guide him somewhere important, so he decides to follow where it leads. Sure enough, the bunny leads him straight to the blue grizzlies, and Yuzado hides behind some bushes to watch them carefully. They're clearly a family unit with cubs, and he doesn't attack them right away because he's not a complete monster. Instead, he goes to drink some water from a nearby stream, but the water is dirty and sketchy looking. Still desperate for hydration, he tries drinking it anyway, and to his absolute horror, it messes him up catastrophically bad. His healing magic is barely working at all, and his stomach feels like it's literally on fire from the inside. The next day, the bunny shows him a clean water source that actually tastes amazing, but something feels seriously off with his new bunny friend because it's acting really nervous about something. Whatever scared this bunny must be absolutely terrifying because it didn't even flinch around those massive grizzlies earlier. Then an ominous sound echoes through the forest that makes Yuzado's blood run cold, and he turns slowly to see a gigantic snake slithering out of the shadows like a nightmare made flesh. He's completely frozen in pure terror as this thing approaches, unable to move a single muscle. The snake is absolutely monstrous and gives off an insane killing aura that makes every survival instinct in Yuzado's body scream at him to run. He instantly knows with complete certainty that this creature is way more dangerous than anything described in the books he read, and once the snake finally leaves the area, Yuzado can breathe again. He makes a critical mental note to never go anywhere near that demonic creature again if he values his life. 4 more days pass in the forest, and Yuzado keeps watching the bear family from a distance, but nothing changes in their routine. Still, he can't leave this place until the Grand Grizzly is defeated, so he knows he has to face them sooner or later. He tells himself that tomorrow will be the day he stops being a coward. The next day arrives, and Yuzado is ready to finally confront his fears, but his little bunny friend seems genuinely upset and tries desperately to stop him from leaving. Yuzado gives in to the bunny's pleading for a while and decides to stay put until the rain clears up. But once the sky opens and the weather improves, he gently tells the bunny that he absolutely has to go now. This time, nothing will stop him from completing his mission because he refuses to live in this forest forever. Determined to finish what he started and prove himself, Yuzado sets off toward the bear den. But when he finally reaches their home, he's completely horrified by what he discovers. He's way too late to help anyone. The entire family of blue grizzlies has been brutally killed, and their bodies are scattered everywhere. He looks over the devastating scene and notices the bite marks covering their corpses, and it's painfully obvious who committed this massacre. The giant snake killed them all, but it didn't even do it for food or survival. It murdered them just for fun, for entertainment, because it's a sadistic monster. To make this tragedy even worse, the little cub is somehow still alive despite everything. It crawls out from under the rubble, crying desperately and trying to wake up its dead mother who will never move again. Yuzado clenches his fists so hard his knuckles turn white, and he thinks about how much he genuinely hates losing, especially to Rose in training. But even more than that, he absolutely hates the fact that his target was stolen from him by this psychotic snake. And most of all, he hates what he's witnessing right now in front of his eyes. This innocent cub who just lost everything. He kneels down in front of the traumatized cub and gently tells it to stay right here and wait. He makes a solemn promise that he'll come back after getting revenge for its family. Meanwhile, back at the castle, Suzune and Kazuki go to check on Yuzado's progress, and when they hear he's still stuck in that dangerous forest after 10 whole days, they're genuinely shocked because that sounds way too long for any kind of normal training. The rescue team members don't have any real answers because Rose is the one calling all the shots, and she's not around to explain. Kazuki is clearly worried about their friend, but Suzune believes in Yuzado with her whole heart. She's absolutely sure Rose wouldn't have sent him into that forest unless he was completely ready to handle it. Back in the forest, Yuzado gathers up his remaining strength and courage. He snacks on what little food he has left and starts crafting a makeshift spear from branches. He then turns to his bunny companion and asks it to guide him directly to the snake's location, but before they go anywhere, he tells the bunny very seriously to run far away the moment they find that monster. The bunny leads Yuzado through the dense woods, and after a long, exhausting hike through dangerous terrain, they finally spot the massive snake. It's right there in the open, and even worse, it's actively attacking the bear cub who was supposed to stay hidden. Yuzado's heart drops into his stomach because he specifically told that cub to stay behind where it would be safe. The snake is even more terrifying up close than he remembered, but Yuzado tells himself with false confidence that nothing is scarier than him right now. He charges at the monster with everything he's got, and the snake seems confused at first by this tiny human rushing toward it, but the confusion is just an act. It goes straight for the kill instantly, with zero hesitation. Yuzado manages to dodge the first attack and jabs at the snake's eye with his crude spear, successfully blinding one side of its head. But the snake counters incredibly hard and smacks him back with devastating force, and Yuzado quickly heals himself while realizing he absolutely has to keep attacking from its blind spot. He charges again with renewed determination, but this time, the snake clamps down hard on his arm with its massive fangs. Yuzado screams in absolute agony as the pain shoots through his entire body, and he suddenly realizes with horror that he's been completely tricked. The snake deliberately lured him into this trap by pretending to be vulnerable. But then, Yuzado smirks through the pain because the arm the snake bit is the one holding his knife. He fights through the excruciating pain and stabs the snake from inside its own mouth, driving the blade deep. The strategy works perfectly, but Yuzado immediately starts feeling weak and dizzy. He's been poisoned by the snake's venom. Not only is this thing massive and incredibly fast, but it's also venomous enough to kill a grown man in minutes. But Yuzado has one critical advantage that the snake doesn't know about. He can heal himself from the inside. The poison from that dirty river water days ago taught him how to heal internal damage, and he uses that exact same technique right now to neutralize the deadly venom coursing through his veins. He gets ready to strike again with everything he has left, but the snake's tail whips toward him faster than he can react, and he's not quick enough to dodge this attack. Right before the devastating blow lands and crushes him, the bear cub jumps in and takes the hit to save Yuzado's life. The brave cub charges forward and gives Yuzado the perfect boost he needs, and Yuzado launches himself off the cub's back, flying through the air toward his target. He yells at the snake, calling it an absolute idiot, and slams down the most powerful punch he's ever thrown in his entire life. Then he drives the spear even deeper into the snake's head, piercing through its skull. The cub manages to pin the snake down despite its injuries, and together they bring this monster down in an epic display of teamwork. They actually win against impossible odds, and breathing heavily with exhaustion, Yuzado stares at the fallen beast in complete disbelief. The cub walks over, looking proud of their victory too, and Yuzado desperately wants to heal his brave little friend, but all his mana is completely focused on curing the poison still trying to kill him. He can't move a single muscle or spare any energy. Then something absolutely terrifying happens that makes his heart stop. The snake twitches violently. It's not actually dead yet, despite everything they did, and Yuzado's heart sinks into despair because he's completely out of energy and can't even lift a finger to defend himself. The cub tries its best to stand guard and protect him, but Yuzado tells it to run and save itself. He's not going to survive another round of combat in this condition. There's just no way. As the snake closes in for the final kill, Yuzado's entire life flashes before his eyes in rapid succession. He blames everything that's happening on one specific person, Rose and her insane training. He shouts into the sky with his last breath, screaming that this is all her fault and calling her a violent ogre who sent him here to die. And then she actually appears from the sky like a meteor, answering his desperate prayer. Rose drops from above and stomps the snake completely flat with one devastating blow, crushing it into paste. She insults the monster for being too dumb and too weak to finish the job properly, and Yuzado can barely believe what he's seeing. He asks in shock how she even knew he was in mortal danger, and Rose casually tells him that the bunny named Kukiro was actually her pet this entire time. She deliberately sent it to watch over him throughout this whole ordeal, and Yuzado's jaw drops in complete disbelief. Kukiro had shown up looking hurt and acted all innocent, but it was playing him the entire time and reporting back to Rose. Rose smirks and calls him incredibly gullible for falling for such an obvious trick, and she explains she'd been nearby the entire time watching. She planned to stay completely out of it unless things got dangerously out of hand, but she genuinely didn't expect that specific snake to show up. The creature wasn't just some random forest monster, it was actually a weapon created by the Demon Lord's army for war. During the last invasion, Siglius tried his best to kill it but failed, and she never thought it would be strong enough to take down an entire family of grand grizzlies. That's what shocked her most about this situation. Yuzado is absolutely horrified and furious, screaming that Rose wanted him, a total beginner with no experience, to take on that demonic thing. He calls her completely insane and questions her sanity, but Rose calmly explains she never expected him to actually win this fight. This entire trial was about pushing him way beyond his limits and letting him face something far stronger than himself to see how he'd react. She got curious partway through his struggle and decided to let it continue just to observe what he would do. Yuzado snaps and yells that he almost died a horrible death, and the bear cub backs him up by growling, as if it completely agrees with his assessment. Yuzado suddenly remembers the cub is now completely alone in this world after losing its entire family. He gently comforts it and promises that everything will somehow be okay. Rose watches this interaction quietly and says she was absolutely right about something. Yuzado is a lot like her in ways he doesn't understand yet. She then turns to address the cub directly and announces that it's coming with them back to civilization. She tells it that it'll have to carry this idiot who couldn't even die properly when given the chance. Yuzado wonders if the cub is actually okay with that arrangement, but the bear seems surprisingly mature and calm about everything, ready to start a new life. Rose lifts both of them up effortlessly and carries them like they weigh nothing. As they head back toward the kingdom, Yuzado thinks about how absolutely terrifying Rose truly is underneath her tough exterior. That's when she casually mentions she heard every single word he said about her being a violent ogre, and Yuzado completely freezes in fear. Then she grins wickedly and announces that he definitely won't be sleeping tonight because his punishment is coming. Back at the rescue base, Rose tells him something that changes everything. He passed her brutal test with flying colors. He's completely stunned and asks what that actually means, and she tells him he's now officially qualified to stand by her side on the battlefield during real combat. Yuzado isn't sure what to say, because he still hasn't mastered even the basic fundamentals of healing magic. But Rose says none of that matters right now. He has the physical strength to endure incredible pain, a body that can take punishment, and more importantly, the right mindset for this job. The two other healers in the rescue team never reached this level of capability. She tells him to be genuinely proud because he earned this recognition through blood and suffering. Yuzado asks what she meant earlier when she said they might actually make it through the war, and Rose reveals some terrible news. The demon army will invade very soon. Elsewhere, deep in demon territory, the Demon Lord is actively preparing for total war. He asks for a status update on the planned invasion of the Linger Kingdom, and Amila, who serves as the 3rd Army commander, reports that her forces are completely ready to march. They'll move out soon and crush everything in their path. Meanwhile, Rose informs Yuzado that he'll be joining her on the absolute front lines when war breaks out. His job will be healing the wounded as part of the Vanguard, which is the most dangerous position imaginable. 2 other healers exist in the kingdom, but their jobs are completely different from what he'll be doing. Yuzado doesn't believe he can possibly heal at the same level Rose does, but she tells him there's still time before the war starts, and he absolutely must improve. Back in the demon realm, the Demon Lord assigns Amila to lead the initial charge, and he makes it crystal clear that the Linger Kingdom slipped through their hands once before, but this time they'll finish the job completely. Amila is dismissed from the throne room, but not before being mocked and teased by another demon named Hierok, a twisted researcher who enjoys psychological games. He makes fun of her for being nervous about the upcoming battle, and Amila glares at him with pure hatred. Hierok explains with pride that he just finished creating his newest weapon, a venomous beast with a massive body and deadly fangs. He calls this abomination Demonade Monster Prototype 72 Baljeng, and he explains that his last creation vanished mysteriously after it was wounded by the hero known as Siglius. But this new monstrosity is supposedly even stronger and more lethal. Amila hopes desperately that's actually true, because this time they're not just facing regular warriors on the battlefield. There are other people fighting who are even more dangerous in specific ways. They're not there to take lives, they're there to save them. The demons call these people kidnappers because they literally steal away the injured before the enemy even notices what's happening. They save lives constantly and dramatically limit casualties, which makes winning battles almost impossible. Their leader is a legendary combat medic who runs through active battlefields healing people while dodging attacks. Her name is Rose, and Amila grits her teeth in pure rage. She absolutely hates Rose with a burning passion and swears she'll destroy her completely, but she can't fight directly this time because she's a commander now. So instead, she'll send someone else to handle Rose, a certain powerful figure known as the Immortal Mage of Darkness, the Black Knight. Back at the rescue base, Yuzado is finally enjoying something he hasn't experienced in what feels like ages, sleeping in an actual real bed. He relaxes for a bit, and then brings over some fruit to feed his new little bear buddy. But the cub, now officially named Blurrin, decides to just snatch the apple straight out of Yuzado's hand like a rude child. To make things even worse, Yuzado spots Kukiro, the so-called cute bunny, who completely tricked him with its innocent act during the forest trial. He tries desperately to resist falling for the adorable charm again, but eventually gives in to temptation and feeds it some fruit too. That's when Rose walks in, looking surprisingly amused by this scene, and she hears that Yuzado named the bear Blurrin, which is apparently a combination of blue for its fur color and wren taken from the word grizzly. Rose doesn't hide how absolutely ridiculous she thinks the name is calling it stupid, but Yuzado is genuinely proud of his creative naming skills. Things get chaotic fast when Blurrin accidentally bites Yuzado's hand while eating, and Rose casually lets him know that she already informed the kingdom about the bear. They've agreed to let him keep it as a companion, but she makes it crystal clear that Blurrin has to pull his own weight around here. He's not just here to look cute and eat food. Like everyone else on this team, Blurrin needs a job. Both Blurrin and Yuzado are absolutely terrified of Rose, and Yuzado can only wonder what kind of horrifying assignment she's going to give this poor innocent bear. Turns out that job is being carried around like luggage during training. Blurrin becomes part of Yuzado's brutal simulation training, and Rose orders him to run while carrying the cub on his back as if he's rescuing an injured person from a battlefield. Luckily for Yuzado, he's completely used to weighted running at this point, so as long as he manages his mana properly and keeps healing himself, it's not too catastrophically bad. But Rose being Rose demands he run significantly faster because in a real battlefield scenario, he won't have time to take things slow and steady. The wounded won't last long enough for him to stroll casually, and suddenly Tong and another rescue team musclehead pop out of absolutely nowhere like they were hiding in the bushes. Rose had secretly told them to simulate a realistic battlefield ambush, and they start chasing Yuzado down aggressively while warning him that the rest of the team is also waiting in hiding to surprise him. 1 hour into this nightmare, Yuzado is desperately dodging stink water bombs from one of the meatheads and trying not to get hit by attacks from another direction. 3 hours later, he's jumping over logs and obstacles while carrying Blurrin. 4 hours after that, he's carefully dodging Kukiro to avoid stepping on the tiny bunny and crushing it. Eventually, he starts feeling genuinely weird, like something is seriously wrong, and his body just completely collapses without warning. Rose appears beside him instantly and explains that he's hit the absolute limit of his mental endurance rather than physical exhaustion. On a real battlefield, it's not just physical tiredness that destroys you. Fear, pressure, and impatience drain your energy faster than any amount of running ever could. If he seriously wants to improve and survive, he'll have to train his mind just as intensely as his body. She heals him with her magic to get him back on his feet, but then casually tells him to spend the rest of the entire day running around the castle town with Blurrin still on his back. Yuzado is shocked by this additional punishment, but he obeys without complaint. As he runs through the crowded town, people stop and stare at him, but not in fear like he expected. He assumed they'd panic at the sight of a literal monster riding on his back, but everyone stays remarkably calm. That's when Blurrin leads him to a fruit vendor and they discover a green fruit called a puffle. But Yuzado realizes with embarrassment that he doesn't have any money to buy anything. The merchant explains kindly that nobody's scared of him because they recognize the uniform he's wearing. He's with the famous rescue team. Everyone in town has seen the scary-looking rescue team members before, so they're completely used to intimidating appearances. It suddenly makes perfect sense to Yuzado. If those terrifying brutes don't freak people out, then nothing will. The vendor kindly gives him the fruit for free as a gesture of goodwill, and as they leave, Blurrin casually munches on Yuzado's hand again like it's a chew toy. Nearby, a mysterious girl named Amako watches Yuzado with intense interest, and something about the blue bear in the rescue team uniform catches her attention specifically. Yuzado heads off to check on his friends, completely unaware that someone is desperately trying to get his attention. Eventually, he hears a voice calling out and turns around to see a guy named Orga approaching. Turns out Orga is one of the rescue team's other healers, and he's genuinely surprised to learn that Yuzado came to this world alongside the heroes. Yuzado laughs and admits he's been training so intensely that he barely remembers he was ever a regular high school student in another world. Orga is seriously impressed that Yuzado has lasted this long under Rose's brutal training program, and he explains that Rose's methods were way too much for both him and his sister to handle. His sister is also a healer 5 years younger than him, and together they run a small clinic in the city helping civilians. They're not frontline fighters who engage in combat. Instead, they heal the citizens and keep the kingdom functioning. Still, they're officially part of the rescue team and answer directly to Rose when she needs them. Orga explains that he collapsed earlier because he's absolutely terrible at healing himself, even though he's really skilled at healing other people. Yuzado starts wondering what actual war will be like for all of them, and Orga explains the basic structure. While the fighters like Kazuki and Siglius charge to the front lines, people like Tong and the other brutes carry injured soldiers back to a safe place called the rear. That's where Orga and his sister patch everyone up and send them back to battle. When Yuzado mentions that Rose wants him on the vanguard, Orga is absolutely stunned because that's literally the most dangerous position possible. It's the absolute front line where people die the fastest and most violently. Yuzado admits honestly that he's terrified about the future and what's coming. He thinks about Susan and Kazuki constantly and how completely helpless he would feel if they got seriously hurt and he couldn't save them in time. Normally, people just have to wait to die if they fall in battle with no hope of rescue, but the rescue team exists specifically to change that tragic reality. It's an incredibly tough and risky job, but Orga says Rose would never send someone into that hell unless she trusted them completely with her life. Before leaving, Orga tells Yuzado something important. Don't hate Rose for being harsh. She might seem cold and terrifying, but she's just really bad at dealing with people and expressing emotions. Yuzado surprises him by saying he's never actually hated her despite everything. Even with all their problems and conflicts, he knows deep down that she's desperately trying to make him stronger. After Yuzado leaves, Orga tells his sister Yuru that he met someone really interesting today, and he's absolutely sure she'll like Yuzado when they eventually meet. Back at the castle, Yuzado walks in with Blurin, and he's allowed through the gates without any issues. Rose had already spoken to the guards on his behalf to clear everything up. As he passes by the training yard, he spots Susan practicing, and she's genuinely happy to see him again after so long. She's confused about what's sitting on his back, and he tells her the entire story about the forest and his terrifying adventure. But Susan is way more interested in touching the adorable bear than hearing about near-death experiences. Yuzado lets her pet Blurin, but warns her that he'll heal her immediately if she gets bitten. Susan sees herself as the animal-loving heroine of their story, so she's confident that animals naturally love her back. She is catastrophically wrong about this assumption. Blurin slaps her hand away aggressively, and Yuzado tries to smooth things over by claiming the bear is just shy around strangers. Susan tries again with more confidence this time, calling Blurin by name sweetly, and the bear responds by chomping down on her hand hard. Yuzado doesn't even pretend to comfort her this time, and just jokes that maybe she has a tainted soul that animals can sense. But then Blurin starts chewing on Yuzado's hand too, and Susan laughs hysterically, wondering if maybe he's the one with the tainted soul instead. After their little comedy routine ends, Yuzado notices that Susan's hands are covered in scratches and blisters from pushing herself way too hard during training. She explains it's from practicing constantly without breaks, and he gently reminds her to take proper care of injuries before they get infected. He heals her hands completely, and Susan blushes while asking if he really came all this way just to see her specifically. Yuzado quickly clarifies that he came to see both his friends, not just her, which is definitely not the answer she was hoping to hear. She changes the subject and mentions that Kazuki went outside the kingdom to train by fighting real monsters alongside Siglius and the other experienced warriors. While they're traveling, Siglius informs Kazuki that the Demon Lord is expected to strike very soon, and this time it absolutely won't be an easy fight. But he also tells Kazuki that having both him and Susan here has lifted the troops' morale significantly because they're actual heroes from another world. Kazuki isn't completely confident in his abilities, but he promises to do his absolute best and not let anyone down. Soon after, their group runs into a pack of dangerous monsters, and the real battle training begins. When Kazuki eventually returns from his mission, it'll be Susan's turn to get actual combat experience. Yuzado already knows she'll enjoy every second of the fighting, but she still wants him to worry about her at least a little bit. He says he does worry, but she calls him out for not sounding convincing at all. They laugh together, and Yuzado walks away, not realizing just how comfortable he's gotten around her over time. As he jogs back toward the base, Yuzado thinks about how everyone's preparing for the inevitable war. He desperately wants to be strong enough to protect the people he cares about most. In his old pathetic life, all he could do was admire others from a distance and wish he was different. But now he's actively becoming someone completely new. That night, Rose checks in with him, and she's glad to hear his training is progressing well. But Yuzado admits he still has an incredibly long way to go before he's truly ready, and there's still more running, more training, more suffering ahead. Before she leaves the room, he stops her suddenly and brings up what she said earlier about the Demon Lord's army approaching. Just thinking about that nightmare snake monster from the forest had him shaking in absolute terror, and he never wanted to step foot on a real battlefield where things are infinitely worse. But today, something fundamental changed deep inside him. He felt something way stronger than fear. Now he knows with certainty that he can fight, but not to take lives like a warrior. He wants to save people from death itself, and that's his true purpose. Rose listens carefully, and then smiles approvingly, because that's exactly what she wanted to hear from him. He's not there to kill enemies or rack up a body count. He's there to drag people back from the edge of death, to rip the injured away from the enemy, before it's too late to literally defy death itself, even if it risks his own life. And Rose wants him to keep thinking that way permanently, because that's what it truly means to be a real member of the rescue team. For the first time since arriving in this world, Yuzado finally feels like he genuinely belongs somewhere. The next morning, Rose shows up with an urgent message from the king. It's time for Yuzado to head out on a new mission. He's going to join Suzune's training exercises outside the kingdom walls. Yuzado is genuinely confused about why he specifically has to go with her when Kazuki had Siglius guiding and protecting him. Rose explains that Yuzado was originally supposed to go with Kazuki during his training, but he had just gotten back from surviving the forest trial and wasn't ready yet. Now, he's needed as a safety measure in case a healer becomes necessary during Suzune's dangerous training. She reassures him that it's just temporary, and he'll be back at base in 3 days maximum. Suzune is absolutely thrilled to see Yuzado again, but she's even more excited to see Blurin because apparently the bear is more interesting than her friend. She assumes Yuzado brought the bear along specifically to help them build better team chemistry, but Yuzado quickly shuts that ridiculous idea down. Blurin just doesn't like being separated from him or anyone else, so he had absolutely no choice but to bring the clingy bear. Suzune then introduces Yuzado to the other members of their training group, Aruku the knight and Korin the mage. Yuzado recognizes Aruku immediately because he was just a background soldier who used to guard the boring castle gate, and now he's somehow part of this elite squad. Before they leave on their journey, Rose gives a critically important reminder. Yuzado's healing magic is incredibly powerful, but it's definitely not all-powerful or miraculous. It can heal injuries and cure most poisons, but it absolutely cannot bring someone back from the dead once they're gone. Suzune nods in complete understanding of this limitation. Rose believes they'll be fine because Suzune trained extensively under Siglius and has real combat skills. As for Yuzado, well, Rose doesn't say anything encouraging to him at all because she doesn't need to. As the group heads out on their mission, Suzune mentions how Kazuki was completely wiped out and exhausted after his training trip, but he still said it was totally worth the suffering. He fought countless monsters in a dangerous area just beyond the forest where Yuzado had trained, and now it's their turn to go to that exact same location. Yuzado wonders if Blurin misses the forest at all, but for now the bear is peacefully asleep on his back. Suzune tries to sneak in a little cuddle time with the adorable furball, but Yuzado blocks her immediately. She teases him for acting so protective and wonders out loud if he's turning into some kind of misogynist who hates women. Blurin eventually wakes up still groggy from his nap, and Suzune excitedly asks if she can carry the bear on her back for a while. Yuzado says that's an absolutely terrible idea that will end in disaster, but she completely ignores his warning and enjoys Blurin's soft fluffiness until she immediately collapses under his deceptive weight. Yuzado quickly heals her crushed spine, and then Korin suddenly senses something wrong. Multiple presences are approaching from up ahead, and Aruku tells everyone to stay back and let him handle it. A group of bandits steps out of hiding looking annoyed because they were planning a perfect ambush, but got discovered early. They were hoping to catch the group by surprise, but now they'll just rob them the old-fashioned way with threats and violence. Aruku refuses to hand anything over without a fight, and the bandits clearly outnumber them, but Yuzado doesn't find these pathetic criminals scary at all. He tells Suzune casually that they're weak trash and not worth stressing over, but she's still amazed because this is her first time seeing real bandits in person. The bandits spot Blurin sleeping on Yuzado's back, and mistaking him for just some rare animal cub, they decide to capture him and skin him for profit. Suzune immediately attacks in defense of the innocent bear, launching a powerful lightning spell that knocks one bandit back. Yuzado is genuinely impressed because she pulled off such a strong move without even seriously injuring anyone. The bandits quickly switch tactics and try to close the distance, hoping to dodge her magic by getting in melee range. Yuzado starts calling out attacks like she's a Pokemon he's training, yelling for her to use Thunderbolt. Suzune zaps the bandits again with another lightning strike, but tells him firmly to stop treating her like Pikachu. Aruku joins the fight to back her up, but before they can finish this minor skirmish, a sudden stampede of wild boars charges into the area. These beasts normally live deeper in the woods, so their unexpected appearance here is genuinely strange. Blurrin rushes in bravely to help fend off the charging animals, and Yuzado throws himself directly in front of Susan to block an attack. He uses his healing magic to cushion their fall as they both crash through some trees and tumble into a river. Susan gets up quickly and sees Yuzado lying there unconscious, and she starts panicking about her friend. But he suddenly wakes up completely fine, explaining that he just needed a quick power nap after pulling her out of the dangerous water. He's more embarrassed than actually injured by the whole situation. She apologizes for making him worry, but Yuzado says honestly that he wouldn't want to be stranded with anyone else in this situation. They've survived way worse together in the past. He even points out that this is the exact same river he fell into during his brutal forest training with Rose. They check their supplies and realize with horror that they don't even have enough food to last through the night. Suzune wants to focus entirely on getting out of this forest as fast as possible, but Yuzado warns her that it's going to be dark soon and it might rain, making travel incredibly dangerous. He suggests they camp out in a tree like he did during his survival training, but Suzune shyly admits she's never climbed a tree in her entire life. She always wanted to try it, but her strict, controlling parents never let her do anything fun or adventurous. Yuzado decides on a safer option for both of them, finding a cave to shelter in. He also strongly advises her to change out of her soaking wet clothes before she catches a cold, and she makes him promise not to peek while she's changing. Once they're both dry, Suzune uses her lightning magic to catch fish from the river and even spark a fire to cook them. And Yuzado is seriously impressed by how useful she is. She's making this survival situation way easier than it should be. She sits at a careful distance from him, feeling awkward, and she notices again how incredibly ripped and muscular he's gotten from Rose's training. Suddenly, venom monkeys appear out of the darkness, and Yuzado has never seen one of these creatures in real life before. Suzune finds one of the babies absolutely adorable and pets it, despite Yuzado warning her that they're poisonous and dangerous. Of course, the baby monkey bites her hand, and Susan, still smiling, insists she's completely fine, right before collapsing unconscious. Back at the castle, Korin's magical familiar reports directly to the king with terrible news. Susan and Yuzado have gone missing. The king didn't want to tell Kazuki about this disaster, but Celia convinced him that honesty was better. They're planning to send out a full search team in the morning to find them. Kazuki isn't satisfied with waiting and tries to leave immediately to search himself, but Rose physically stops him. She tells him not to worry because if Suzune and Yuzado are together, they'll absolutely be fine. Yuzado is her subordinate, and she knows for a fact that he's not easy to kill. Back in the forest, Yuzado is actually doing surprisingly great, mostly thanks to Suzune making everything easier. She's become a huge help even though she doesn't like being treated like some kind of survival tool. Still, Yuzado admits she's been absolutely amazing. He tells her to get some sleep and rest, but she insists he should sleep first, because he's the one doing all the healing work. As the rain starts falling harder, Susan checks if Yuzado is asleep yet, but he's still wide awake. She asks him if he ever wants to go back to their original world, and he admits honestly that he does miss it sometimes, but he also has genuine reasons to stay here. Without any hesitation, Susan announces that she doesn't want to go back at all. Yuzado is surprised, but he doesn't ask why because he already knows the answer. He guesses correctly that it's because she feels more free in this world, and he's absolutely right about her feelings. Suzune opens up emotionally and explains that in their old world, she felt like she had nothing left worth living for. Family, friends, her entire past. She would give it all up permanently just to stay here where she can finally live for herself. Yuzado understands completely because he felt the exact same way about his boring old life. He was tired of being passive and invisible. At first, he just didn't want to be a burden to Susan and Kazuki, but now he genuinely wants to protect them and the entire kingdom as a real member of the rescue team. Susan smiles warmly and says she wants to protect this world too, as a hero who matters. They make a solemn promise to forget their past world and protect what they have here together. Suzune is amazed at how much Yuzado has grown as a person, and he admits that she seems way more relatable now than before. He used to see her as this flawless, unreachable, perfect girl, but now he treats her like an actual equal, and she genuinely likes that better. Things get a little awkward between them, so Yuzado decides it's time to sleep. Suzune teases him about getting flustered so easily, but wishes him sweet dreams anyway. The next morning, the two search desperately for a way out of this massive forest. Suddenly, something huge charges toward them through the trees, and it turns out to be just Blurrin, who instantly tackles Yuzado in an aggressive bear hug. Aruku is with him, but he's completely exhausted from trying to keep up. Once he catches his breath, Aruku explains they were scouting the forest's edge when Blurin suddenly bolted off without warning. Turns out the bear picked up Yuzado's scent from miles away and ran straight to him like a homing missile. Blurin sniffs the air carefully and starts moving in a specific direction, and Yuzado tells everyone that this forest used to be Blurin's actual home. He shares the tragic story of how the cub's parents were brutally killed by that monstrous snake. Everyone goes quiet, feeling genuinely sad for the little bear, but Blurin walks forward proudly with his head held high. Suzune smiles and says that he's clearly made his decision. Blurin knows exactly where he belongs now, right by Yuzado's side. It's finally time to go home. After returning to the castle safely, Yuzado and Suzune are greeted by the king, who looks visibly relieved to see them alive. Suzune politely apologizes for causing so much concern, but the king shakes his head and says he should be the one apologizing. He feels incredibly guilty for dragging Yuzado into all this mess in the first place. Yuzado just shrugs it off casually because he's honestly gotten used to life-threatening chaos at this point. Then he realizes that sounding too comfortable with dangerous situations might make Rose look bad, so he quickly changes the subject and claims he was talking about stuff from his old world. The king asks curiously how his training with the rescue team has been going, and Yuzado lies again, saying everything's been easy and smooth with no problems. One glance at Rose, and he notices something terrifying. She's smiling like he gave exactly the answer she wanted. That freaks him out a bit because he's starting to wonder if she's been psychologically conditioning him this whole time. Rose and Siglius are both asked to stay back for a private conversation, and their serious expressions leave Yuzado wondering what that discussion could possibly be about. Later, Kazuki arrives and immediately calls Yuzado out for being way too relaxed. He was seriously worried sick about them while they were gone. Celia jumps in and reveals that Kazuki was literally about to rush out of the castle to go find them himself. Suzune teases him for being so reckless, but Yuzado fires back by reminding her she's the one who got bitten by a venom monkey. When Yuzado tries to tell that embarrassing story, Suzune cuts him off quickly. Kazuki mentions that Rose reassured him Yuzado would handle things just fine, and that amazes him. He never expected her to have so much faith in anyone. But Yuzado knows better. If she said the forest was safe, it's probably because it's still way easier than her actual training room. Yuzado looks Kazuki directly in the eyes and tells him seriously to never change or become like him. Only he and Rose are allowed to be tainted by how twisted this world can be. As they go their separate ways, Celia comments on how close the group is getting. Kazuki assumes she means Suzune and Yuzado specifically, but she corrects him. She's talking about all of them together. They've grown incredibly tight like a real team. Kazuki admits it's because they were already good friends back in their original world. Wanting desperately to be part of that connection, Celia asks Kazuki not to address her so formally anymore. She apologizes if she's being too forward, but Kazuki agrees happily and calls her Celia with a genuine smile. Later at the castle, the king gathers critical information from the captured bandits who attacked Yuzado's group. Minister Sergio reveals that the bandits noticed something extremely strange. There were far fewer monsters in the area than there should be. Shortly afterward, they were attacked by a massive herd of beasts, fleeing from the plains in a panic. That can only mean one terrifying thing. The monsters are running away from something even more dangerous. Siglius speaks up with conviction, saying he's absolutely convinced this is a clear sign that the Demon Lord's army is finally on the move. Unlike before, when they held back this time, they won't show any mercy. They'll throw everything they have into the assault and crush the kingdom. The king orders the entire military to prepare for total war and then makes a difficult request to Rose. It's not something he'd usually ask of the rescue team leader, but Rose is already way ahead of him. She knows exactly what he wants without him saying it. He wants her to scout the Demon Lord's army personally and find out how far they've advanced. She agrees without any hesitation, even though it's incredibly dangerous. But the king has another request that catches her off guard. He asks Rose to return to her former post as battalion commander. She flat out refuses immediately without even thinking about it. She says she carries more guilt than the king can possibly imagine, and it's eating her alive. She was the first healer ever to be appointed as a battalion commander, and her entire squad died under her command. She touches her scarred eye, gently explaining that she accepted their deaths a long time ago, but the scar serves as a permanent reminder that no healing magic can erase what happened. It's her punishment, one she absolutely can't forget. The king tries to tell her it wasn't her fault, but Rose cuts him off harshly. Her arrogance and overconfidence got them all killed, and she's been carrying that unbearable shame ever since. That's exactly why she formed the rescue squad. Not to fight enemies, but to save as many people as humanly possible. The king reminds her how many lives she and her team saved in the war 2 years ago. But for Rose, it's not nearly enough. She wants way more than just victory in battle. She wants to raise someone who won't die no matter what. The king says that's not realistic because no one can survive absolutely everything. Rose disagrees completely because that's what all the brutal training is for. Healing magic, physical conditioning, and unshakable willpower. She's been searching for years for someone who has all three qualities. And now she's finally found him, Yuzado. He's quick to adapt to any situation impossible to keep down permanently and always finds a way to survive against impossible odds. He's stubborn, smart, and has a powerful instinct to live. He even stands up to her directly, which most people are too terrified to do. He reminds her constantly of the fallen soldiers she couldn't protect, and she's determined to make him into the ultimate healer who can't be killed. Rose ends her emotional speech, apologizes for getting too intense, and leaves to head directly to the kingdom's border. That night, Yuzado finds a letter from her explaining, there's no training tomorrow. Instead, she wants him to deliver another letter to someone important. She already told the others she wouldn't be joining them for dinner, and Yuzado starts wondering where she went. Meanwhile, on the demon's side, Amila is overseeing the construction of a massive bridge that will allow their army to invade. She orders her troops to give it their absolute all for the demon lord's glory. Watching nearby is the Black Knight, clearly annoyed by Amila's enthusiasm. He says she's going too hard, but Amila reminds him that she outranks him now, even though they used to be equals in the Second Army. He grumbles, but obeys her commands. Hierarch. The creepy demon scientist informs her that the bridge will be finished in just a few hours. After that, their full-scale invasion of the Linger Kingdom can finally begin. Suddenly, one of the demons reports that a Linger scout has been spotted nearby. Amila isn't worried at all because by the time the scout warns anyone, it'll be way too late to stop them. She's dead wrong about that assumption. That scout is actually Rose, and a moment later, a massive tree trunk comes flying through the air and smashes the bridge completely apart. Amila is absolutely furious when she realizes who threw it with inhuman strength. What was supposed to be a simple scouting mission has turned into a warning shot. Rose has just bought the kingdom precious time to prepare. The next day, Yuzado goes to deliver Rose's letter as instructed. Strangely, people keep staring at him, even though he doesn't have Blurin with him this time. A familiar old merchant offers him some fruit again, but he says politely that he'll come back later. From the shadows, a strange, mysterious girl watches him carefully. Yuzado arrives at the Fleur Clinic and meets Yuru, who's Orga's sister. She remembers him immediately from her brother's stories and introduces herself properly. Yuzado steps inside and sees Orga busy treating a patient, so Yuru lets him quietly observe the healing process. He watches Orga's healing magic with fascination. It's bright fluid and far more refined than his own crude techniques. The patient, who's just a kid, calls them both weirdos, but he's healed quickly and leaves. Yuru asks how the rescue squad is doing, and Yuzado jokes that they're still stomping around with their intimidating faces. He remembers hearing that Yuru was once part of the rescue squad too. She confirms she was, but admits she couldn't keep up with Rose's insane training. It completely overwhelmed her, and over time she started to fear Rose more than admire her. Orga reads the letter but doesn't reveal what it contains. Yuru explains how hard Rose trained both of them when they first joined. They had such high hopes initially, but things didn't go as planned. Still, she admits that Rose seems genuinely happier these days. Yuzado thinks that's probably because she found a new punching bag to abuse, him. Suddenly, a messenger arrives with urgent news. Someone fell off a roof and got seriously hurt, and 2 others were injured too. Orga asks Yuzado to come help with the emergency. They rush to the scene, and Orga is exhausted, struggling to stay on his feet, so Yuzado takes over the healing. It's the most intense medical work he's ever done. Until now, he's only treated minor wounds on Kazuki and Suzune. But in a real war, things will be infinitely worse. He'll have to perform healing in the middle of absolute chaos. Orga notices his hesitation and reminds him firmly that it doesn't matter who the person is or where you are. You just need to believe you can save them. Those words stick with Yuzado deeply. Even Rose believes in him completely. He calms down, focuses all his energy, and successfully heals the injured man. Orga and Yuru both praise his work enthusiastically, and Orga invites him to stop by again sometime to lend a hand. As Yuzado leaves, Yuru tells her brother that he looked cool giving advice. But Orga turns serious and reveals what the letter said. The Demon Lord's army is getting dangerously close. They've officially been summoned for war. Yuzado doesn't have any battlefield experience, so he'll have to rely entirely on faith in his own power. Orga is confident that Rose will lead them well, but promises to do everything he possibly can, too. Later, Yuzado returns to collect the fruit the old vendor offered earlier, but a strange girl stops him suddenly. She says something incredibly cryptic that makes no sense. You're the only one who can see it, and that's exactly why this is a future you can change. Yuzado has absolutely no idea what she's talking about until her eye begins glowing with power. Suddenly, terrifying visions flood directly into his head. War, chaos, death, and the worst part is seeing the Black Knight brutally murdering his friends. Yuzado is frozen in complete terror, unable to move or breathe. His heart pounds violently in his chest. The girl tells him this was her gift to him. Now he knows exactly what's coming, and now he owes her a favor. Before he can even react or ask questions, she disappears into thin air. Yuzado, still shaken from the horrifying vision the fox girl showed him, runs desperately through the streets trying to find her. He needs answers. Why did he see his friends die? What was that terrifying future? The girl watches quietly from a hidden distance, thinking to herself that Yuzado is the only one who might be able to rewrite what's coming. He stops to ask a castle guard if he saw a fox-eared girl pass by, but the guard hasn't seen anything unusual. Suddenly, Rose appears behind him out of nowhere and scares the poor guard off with just her intimidating presence. Yuzado can't help but pity the guy, but at the same time, he totally gets why people run from her. Rose grabs Yuzado roughly as always and demands to hear more about how scary she apparently is. Yuzado dodges the subject by quickly changing the topic to her latest mission. She casually reveals that she destroyed a bridge the demon army was building while she was out scouting. Yuzado, sarcastic as ever, points out that blowing up enemy construction sounds way more serious than just scouting. In response, Rose puts him in a painful headlock again. After letting him go, she tells him that she's seen the fox girl before. The girl first showed up about 2 years ago when she was only 12 years old, but somehow managed to make it all the way to the capital, successfully avoiding bandits and kidnappers along the way. That alone makes her extremely unusual. Demi-humans like her, specifically beast folk, are often targeted by bandits either because of their exotic looks or their potential to use incredibly rare forms of magic. Yuzado wonders out loud if this rare magic could include visions of the future like what he just witnessed. Rose nods slowly and explains that there are rumors of beast folk with a gift called precognition, the ability to see possible futures. If true, they'd be incredibly rare and tightly protected back in their homeland. She presses him a little about why he's so curious about this topic, but Yuzado plays it cool and says he just read about beastmen in a book and found it interesting. That night, the king thanks Rose for delaying the demon army by destroying their bridge, but she warns him that another one will probably be finished within days. The king decides it's time to prepare the public for what's coming. He plans to make a full announcement tomorrow, but first he wants to speak with Suzune and Kazuki privately. As they head to the important meeting, they bump into Celia unexpectedly. Kazuki's interaction with her is brief and awkward. After saying a few polite words, they go their separate ways. Suzune asks curiously what happened between them, but Kazuki brushes it off. Meanwhile, Yuzado can't sleep at all because his mind keeps looping through that terrifying vision. His friends dying, the dark night standing over them. If that's really the future, what can he possibly do to prevent it? Then he remembers what the fox girl told him. He is the only one who can change that future. Looking out the window, Yuzado spots Kazuki sneaking around the castle grounds. He goes to check on him, and the two end up talking about everything they've been going through. Kazuki admits something he's never told anyone before. He's absolutely terrified. Not just now, but even back when he first fought monsters. His legs froze up completely and he barely managed to fight back. And now that a real war is coming, he feels that exact same paralyzing fear. Everyone believes in him and sees him as a hero, and that crushing pressure is eating him alive. Yuzado listens quietly and then finally speaks up. He tells Kazuki that he always thought he was fearless, but now he sees how much weight Kazuki's been carrying alone. He says something simple but powerful. You don't have to meet everyone's expectations all the time. Sometimes it's okay to put yourself first. Then Yuzado looks him straight in the eyes and says that he's going into battle because he wants to help save the people, risking their lives. Yeah, he's scared too, but he's already made his choice. Kazuki reminds him that he wasn't even supposed to be here. He was just dragged into this by accident. Yuzado nods and agrees, but since then he's met so many people who helped him find where he belongs, and Kazuki is one of them. He tells Kazuki that even if he decides not to fight, they'll still be friends no matter what happens. Those words hit incredibly hard. Kazuki stands up straighter and says that he will fight after all, not for some heroic title, but for Yuzado and Suzune. He may not be sure about being a hero, but he knows he wants to protect his friends. They agree to stand together and protect everyone they can. Yuzado cringes a little at how sappy he sounded, but Kazuki assures him it was exactly what he needed to hear. Just then, Suzune shows up and teases them mercilessly for their heartwarming romance. Yuzado groans that he's way too tired to deal with her mocking, but she keeps at it relentlessly. She tells Yuzado she knew something was off with Kazuki, which is why she followed him, but she's glad Yuzado helped him. Yuzado admits that a part of him doesn't want to fight at all. Suzune asks if he doesn't want her to fight either, and he hesitates before saying he'd rather she didn't. But he knows she's already made her decision. She's chosen this world over everything. She nods quietly and walks away. Tomorrow's going to be a massive day. The next morning, the king stands before the people of the kingdom and announces the terrible truth: the demon army is coming. They plan to intercept the invasion on the open grasslands. 2 years ago, they pushed the demon army back successfully. But this time, the enemy will be significantly stronger. Still, the king believes in their strength. They now have 2 heroes, Kazuki and Suzune, and the help of the rescue squad, who will be critical in battle. He finishes his speech by declaring confidently that they will win. The crowd cheers loudly. Later that day, Kazuki pays a surprise visit to Celia. He apologizes for coming without notice, but she's genuinely happy to see him. He tells her that he's going into battle soon and asks her to pray for his safe return. Celia nods quietly and says she hopes he returns safely. He promises that he absolutely will. He'll protect the country and come back to see her. Celia is stunned, but happy, and they say goodbye. Elsewhere, Yuru is desperately trying to pet Blurin, but Yuzado warns her that the bear doesn't trust strangers easily. Sure enough, Blurin slaps her hand away aggressively. Yuru keeps trying repeatedly and keeps getting smacked down. Even Kukiro the bunny joins forces with Blurin and pushes her back again. Poor Yuru just can't catch a break. Orga watches all this and tells Yuzado that Yuru is just nervous. It's her first time going into actual battle. All this chaos is just her way of hiding how scared she really is. Then Yuzado gets called to Rose's room urgently. He realizes with shock that he's never actually been there before. He starts freaking out, worried she might have set up some new torture method, but when he arrives, she's surprisingly calm. She just wants to talk seriously. She asks him to explain what he thinks his job is during the upcoming battle. Yuzado answers that his job is to heal the injured near the front lines right beside her. Rose says that's part of it, but the very start of the battle will be different. Most of the injured will be taken back to the rear for treatment, and Yuzado will be working alongside Orga and Yuru during that initial phase. It's only later that he'll be needed closer to the front lines. But she gives him a critical warning. Don't heal the wrong people. Yuzado thinks she means don't help the enemy, but she calls him an idiot for being so obvious. She means don't try to heal people who are still actively fighting. Some fighters are wounded but still pushing forward, and if Yuzado steps in too early, he could mess everything up or get in the way. It's his job to decide in a split second who really needs immediate help. Yuzado nods seriously because he understands the weight of this responsibility. Then Rose hands him something incredibly important: his official rescue squad uniform. It's bright and bold, specifically designed to stand out during battle so people can easily find him. Yuzado is absolutely thrilled. Rose grins and says it fits perfectly now because he's built enough muscle to wear it properly. She grabs him again and reminds him very seriously that healers aren't invincible warriors. Once they die, it's completely over. The one thing he must never do is take his own life for granted. Yuzado says obviously he doesn't want to die, but Rose isn't convinced at all. She tells him that too many people say that exact same thing and still end up dead. Being part of the rescue squad means saving lives, including your own. She says if he ever talks about self-sacrifice, she will personally make sure he dies before the enemy gets the chance. Yuzado gets the message loud and clear. He stands tall and says with conviction that he'll save everyone, including himself. Rose looks him directly in the eye and asks if he really thinks he can do that. Yuzado doesn't hesitate for even a second. You're the one who told me to speak my ideals. Yuzado kept thinking about the terrifying vision the fox girl showed him. Whether it was truly the future or not didn't matter anymore. He knew one thing with absolute certainty. He would not let Kazuki or Suzune die, no matter what it took. Soon after, the group left for a temporary base camp to prepare for the inevitable battle. The journey felt too long for Yuru, who kept complaining, but they needed to put significant distance between themselves and the capital before they could even think about fighting. As they traveled together, Yuzado turned to Rose and asked what the demons were actually like. Rose explained that most demons look completely human, but don't let that fool anyone. They're significantly stronger and have way more mana than regular people. And that wasn't just true for the officers. Even the foot soldiers were incredibly tough. Rose smirked and asked if Yuzado was getting scared. But he shook his head and said he'd already met someone scarier than any demon. Rose blinked in disbelief and asked if he really thought a random guy who got summoned by accident could become this strong. Yuzado replied with a grin that she's the one who trained him like a maniac. Honestly, at first he just wanted to outdo her. He braced for one of Rose's usual rough reactions, but she didn't hit him or insult him this time. Instead, her face turned serious, and she drifted into deep thought, thinking back to 5 years ago. Back then, Rose was the battalion commander of the Linger Kingdom's elite knights. A report came in that demons had been spotted in the grasslands near the border. The king issued strict orders. Merchants had to be protected at all costs, but direct contact with demons had to be avoided. They were simply too dangerous. Rose and Siglius both suspected that this wasn't just a small scouting party. They might be gearing up for a full invasion. Siglius started preparing his men while Rose began readying her battalion. While she was focused on planning, a voice called out to her. It was all one of her knights, but Rose, distracted by strategy, snapped at her, telling her not to interrupt important meetings. All got visibly upset because Rose could have seriously hurt her if she wasn't more careful. All asked how serious the demon threat actually was, but Rose scolded her again for eavesdropping on private conversations. Rose downplayed the situation, saying it wasn't that bad, but she warned all never to underestimate the enemy. Later, she announced that she'd be personally overseeing everyone's training again. That was definitely not what all wanted to hear. As they returned home, the rest of the knights blamed all for Rose's decision to put them through intense training again. They all took their frustration out on her unfairly. All begged for help, but Rose just ignored her, completely focused on preparing everyone for whatever was coming. A week passed, and more troubling reports came in. Demons were attacking monsters in their own territory, which made no sense. Rose was sent to investigate personally. She gathered her squad and explained the mission clearly. They'd likely face 10 to 30 enemies. All tried to hype up the group, but the others were still angry at her for dragging them into hardcore training. She pointed out that they were significantly stronger now because of it, but that only made them grumble even louder. Rose decided to leave Kukiro, her bunny, behind because this mission was too dangerous even for him. But to boost morale, she announced that she would personally be joining the team on this dangerous mission. That changed everything instantly. Everyone suddenly felt invincible. If their commander was fighting with them, they believed they could give it their all. With Rose around, they didn't have to fear getting hurt because she could heal them. All encouraged them to give it their best shot, and finally they all agreed. The next morning, the team headed into the forest. On the first day, they didn't find anything suspicious, so Rose changed plans. They'd explore the west side next, even though it was the riskiest area. The knights wondered if it made more sense to check somewhere else first. But all spoke up, saying she had a gut feeling something was waiting on the west side. The knights trusted her instincts completely. As the deputy commander, her word carried serious weight, so they agreed to go with her call. That night, they set up camp, and Rose took first watch, but she could tell all was still awake. She jokingly offered to knock her out to help her sleep. Instead, all asked something serious. "Why did you make me deputy commander?" She didn't think she was special at all. She mostly just ran errands. Rose had trained everyone to be strong, so why specifically her? Rose calmly said that all had never messed up a single mission. She always gave it her all, no matter what. And that's exactly why Rose believed she could someday take over as commander. All freaked out completely. The others will go nuts if I'm in charge. She thought back to how she used to be. Stubborn, rebellious, always disobeying orders. When anyone tried to control her, she used her fists to shut them up violently. She had a terrible reputation for being a strong but completely uncontrollable knight. Then she met Rose, who changed everything. At first, nothing changed, and all stayed stubborn. But Rose wasn't like the others. She didn't back down, ever. She smacked all across the head when she disobeyed, chased her when she tried to desert, and knocked her out cold when all tried to punch her. All actually forgot most of that final beating because Rose hit her that hard. To Rose, it wasn't a big deal, but to all, it meant absolutely everything. She'd never had someone keep pushing her forward like that. Everyone else gave up on her eventually, but Rose never did. That's what fundamentally changed all. She wanted to get stronger, not out of pride, but because she didn't want to lose to Rose, and because someone finally believed in her. Rose, in her usual blunt way, told all that she was just being a brat, scared to leave the nest. All was stunned. That's what she got after pouring her heart out. Rose smiled and told her she was serious. She didn't choose all at random. She chose her because all never gave up and always kept moving forward. That mindset would hold the whole team together one day. All slowly started to understand, but Rose teased her for grinning like an idiot and warned her not to get too soft. "The world changes constantly," Rose said. "You'll have to change with it, but just know this. Once a commander, always a commander. Right then, the rest of the knights revealed they'd been listening to the entire conversation. They all cheered for All, enthusiastically saying they'd always trusted her and followed her lead. All, flustered and red-faced, shouted at them to shut up or she'd beat them up before the demons got the chance. The next morning, they finally spotted clear signs of demons, and they weren't attacking humans. They were systematically killing monsters. It didn't make any sense. Why would demons come into Linger territory just to hunt monsters? All suspected there was way more to it, but before they could discuss it properly, a loud noise erupted nearby. They rushed over and found a group of demons, and the demons saw them too. Rose ordered the knights to hang back and confronted the lead demon herself. She asked directly what they were doing there. The demon, calm and collected, admitted he didn't like this mission either, but said it would benefit them in the future. When Rose demanded a real answer, he refused to say more. So she gave them one chance. If you leave now, she warned, I'll let this slide. The demon chuckled, appreciating her guts, but said there was no way he could let them live. Rose turned to All and gave her full command of the unit. She wouldn't be able to lead while fighting the demon leader personally. As the rest of the knights prepared for battle, All told them it was time to show the demons just how strong their teamwork was. The lead demon launched his first strike, but Rose moved so fast that she smacked him back before he could react. She followed up instantly, not giving him a second to breathe. Rose already knew his secret. He could control the wind to dodge attacks in an instant, knowing that she left the regular soldiers to her knights and focused entirely on him. Rose hurled massive tree trunks at him to pin him down and kept hammering him with relentless attacks. The demon finally admitted that he'd never seen a human move this fast. Rose didn't care about compliments. She wasn't here to talk, just to beat him down. He tried surrounding her with deadly wind blades, thinking she was insane to charge through them. But then she did something he hadn't expected at all. She started healing herself mid-fight. It clicked in his brain. She was a healer, but not just any healer. One with incredible physical strength, speed, and non-stop regeneration. He realized with horror that he was facing a monster in human skin. The two finally introduced themselves properly, and his name was Nero. He summoned a deadly cursed weapon and told her plainly that he was going to kill her now. Rose just smirked and replied confidently that she was going to flatten him first. The fight intensified dramatically. Rose was fast and strong, landing several devastating hits on Nero, but he was no ordinary enemy. His sword was cursed and capable of preventing healing magic completely. At one point, he managed to cut Rose across the face. She healed the wound, but it became painfully clear that this battle wouldn't be easy at all. Nero explained that he didn't enjoy his mission, but he followed orders loyally. He believed Rose and her unit were the biggest threat he'd seen in years. As the fight continued, the other demons began sacrificing themselves in battle without hesitation. One of Rose's knights was killed brutally, then another fell. The demons fought with absolutely no regard for their own lives following Nero's lead. Despite her desperate efforts, Rose was unable to save her squad members. She tried to stay composed, but her rage grew exponentially. Nero's cursed sword struck her eye, directly preventing her from healing it permanently. With her vision blurred and her team falling one by one, things quickly spiraled completely out of control. Eventually, All gave her life to protect Rose, and the entire unit was wiped out. Rose was absolutely devastated, blaming herself entirely. Believing her overconfidence led directly to their deaths. When Nero moved in to end the fight, she managed to stop his attack and unleashed her full power. Fueled by sorrow and fury, she defeated him decisively. A young demon girl rushed in to protect Nero's body, and the moment reminded Rose painfully of All. She let them leave. Rose crawled over to the dying All and tried desperately to heal her, but it was completely useless. The wound was too deep and too severe. All used her last moments to thank Rose and tell her to never change who she was. Rose screamed in complete grief. Later, Rose reported the demon activity to the king and asked to be immediately removed from her position as battalion commander. She gave up her knighthood out of crushing guilt. The king accepted her request. Afterward, the family of one of her fallen soldiers came to thank her for bringing his body back. They explained how their son had turned his life around thanks to her training. Rose returned to her home now alone and cried harder than she ever had. 1 month passed and Siglius visited to check on her. She admitted she had considered ending her own life, but decided against it. Her wounds had started to heal physically, though she kept the scar on her eye as punishment for her failure. That scar reminded her every single day of the price of weakness. Eventually, she remembered All's last words. Instead of living in grief, she decided to become someone her fallen comrades could be proud of. She took off her bandages, stood tall, and committed herself to building a new kind of team, a rescue force that would save lives on the battlefield. Her new squad would need at least 5 people, including 2 healers. But more importantly, she needed someone who could fight and heal at the same time. Someone strong, fast, and unbreakable. That person was Yuzado. Back in the present, Rose told Yuzado she was glad to have found him. She reminded him how special he was, even if he didn't realize it. She said that only 2 people, herself and Yuzado, could handle this level of training and use healing magic in this way. Yuzado had everything she wanted in a battlefield healer. Rose admired him genuinely, but quickly returned to her usual gruff self when he smiled too hard. Elsewhere, the demons had completed their new bridge. Amila gave the Demon Knight permission to go absolutely wild when the war started. The Knight didn't take the enemy seriously at all, but looked forward to the fight. Later, the Linger army finished setting up their camp. Yuzado woke up and realized the battle was almost here. Suzune showed off her new armor proudly. It increased her lightning magic significantly and didn't restrict her movement. She told Yuzado that she also had a love for cacti, which confused him completely. Their argument was interrupted by Kazuki, who saved Yuzado from further teasing. Siglius informed everyone that the demon army would arrive in 30 minutes. The plan was to strike first with a massive wave of magic attacks. After that, Kazuki and Suzune would lead a charge to clear a path to the enemy general and defeat them if possible. As they waited nervously, Suzune admitted she was scared, but felt empowered because Yuzado accepted her for who she was. Kazuki noticed the change in her and respected it deeply. The demon army soon appeared on the horizon. The Linger soldiers launched their first coordinated attacks, but the demons vanished, revealing it was just an illusion. The real army was approaching from a completely different direction. At the rear, Rose ordered her squad to prepare. Their mission was to recover the injured, but to survive at all costs. Orga and Yuru would stay in a healing tent guarded by Kukiro. Rose and Yuzado would enter the battlefield later, but until then their job was healing the wounded at base. Yuzado was worried about Suzune and Kazuki, but Yuru reminded him that if he wanted to help them, he first had to stay alive himself. Yuzado was at the camp when Tong rushed in carrying the first injured soldier. The wounds looked serious, and Yuzado was clearly shaken, but he pulled himself together and started healing. The injured soldier panicked, saying a huge snake had thrown her across the battlefield. Yuzado couldn't help but think about the snake he fought in the forest. Meanwhile, the snake tore through the Linger army with ease. In another part of the battlefield, a soldier thought he had taken down the fearsome Black Knight, but he was quickly proven wrong. The Knight turned the tables and stabbed him instead. The terrified soldier tried to escape to warn others, but the Knight was done playing around. Just as the situation turned grim, G swooped in with his gross-smelling water, grabbed the injured man, and made a quick escape. The Black Knight realized G was one of those rescue runners who save wounded fighters, and suddenly found the battle far more entertaining. Back at Camp G, brought the soldier in, and everyone rushed to help. Rose saw this and decided it was time to head to the battlefield. She gave orders to protect the camp and warned Yuzado about a powerful enemy in black armor who used strange magic. This instantly reminded Yuzado of the nightmare vision he had. He froze, shaken by the memory. Rose noticed and asked if he was ready to take a life if necessary. Yuzado replied that his job was to save people, not kill them, but Rose told him he was being naive. She gave him advice meant for dire situations, advice we don't actually hear. Whatever Rose said worked because Yuzado was now mentally ready. They split up. On the battlefield, things were absolute chaos. Yuzado found a wounded man and saved him mid-fight, managing to dodge attacks while carrying him to safety. Elsewhere, Rose jumped in and saved another soldier. Yuzado told the guy he healed to rest up and get back in the fight. Suzune was showing her strength too, blasting enemies with powerful lightning spells. She was clearly bothered by how many people were getting hurt, but stayed strong for Kazuki. When Kazuki warned her about the giant snake on the field, they both realized they'd have to go after it to reach the enemy commander. Before they could act, the Black Knight appeared. Neither of them had seen a demon like this before. Suzune tried to get her soldiers to stay back, but it was too late. The Knight wasn't fazed at all and easily knocked everyone back. Suzune guessed that the armor reflected any attack. When Kazuki tried to strike her, theory proved true. His own magic rebounded on him. While this happened, Yuzado rushed across the battlefield, still haunted by his vision. He suddenly found himself cornered, but the man he saved earlier came to his rescue. Yuzado sprinted off again, hoping he wasn't too late. At the front lines, the Black Knight sent demon soldiers to fight the weaker troops. Suzune said they had to take the Knight down, but Kazuki thought it was hopeless. Suzune had a plan, though it was risky. Kazuki was scared, but she reminded him that Yuzado could heal them if it went bad. Suzune started by messing with the knight's sight. Then she and Kazuki went in for a coordinated strike. The plan didn't work as expected. The attacks were reflected again. But Suzune noticed something critical. Her stab to the knight's back didn't bounce back. She figured the knight couldn't reflect what they couldn't sense. They tried again with speed and distraction. Kazuki used his light magic to blind the knight and Suzune stabbed through the back. But it was all a trick. The knight had faked the weakness and activated the reflect ability just in time. Suzune was badly hurt, and Kazuki got run through completely. The knight laughed at their failed strategy and revealed that the ability wasn't tied to vision at all. They could just choose what to reflect. Suzune began to panic, thinking everything was lost. She collapsed, regretting not being able to say goodbye to Yuzado. As she blacked out, she remembered happier times. She thought about when they were just students and how happy she was to be accepted by Yuzado. Back in the present, the knight prepared to finish her. Just before the strike could land, Yuzado arrived and punched the knight straight in the face. He was devastated that he hadn't arrived in time, but immediately started healing his friends. The knight, now revealed to be a woman, was furious and attacked again. Yuzado dodged with his friends, and Suzune followed up with her magic. She quickly explained that the knight's armor was probably made of mana and reflected attacks. But for some reason, Yuzado's punch had worked. They were interrupted again by the knight, who demanded revenge. Yuzado really didn't want to fight, but he couldn't walk away. He told Suzune to watch over Kazuki while he covered himself in healing magic and prepared for battle. When he hit the knight again, the attack wasn't reflected. He guessed the knight might be low on mana. Kazuki woke up and Suzune explained that Yuzado had saved them. The knight pierced through Yuzado's hand, but he didn't react to the pain. He was healing himself in real time. Suzune figured it out. Healing magic was the knight's weakness. Since Yuzado's fists were wrapped in healing energy, the hits didn't cause injuries, but they hurt like crazy. The knight released a huge blast and pushed Yuzado away. Everyone was worried, but he promised to finish things. As the knight charged their final attack, Yuzado powered up and met them head-on. Their powers clashed, but Yuzado broke through and delivered his strongest punch ever. The energy was so intense, it stripped away the armor. Yuzado won and named the move his ultimate healing punch. He got right back to helping other wounded soldiers, and people praised him for chasing off the demon army. Suzune thanked Yuzado curiously about his technique. Yuzado explained it was a regular punch coated in healing energy, a trick Rose taught him. The punch doesn't damage enemies, but knocks them out with pain. Suzune realized he was really becoming more like Rose. She thanked him again for saving them, and they decided to go after the giant snake, attacking the front lines. Rose, impressed with Yuzado's performance, told him they didn't need to keep running around. Yuzado told his friends goodbye for now. They promised to stay alive, knowing how hard he worked to keep them safe. Back at the enemy camp, Amila was furious after hearing the Black Knight had been completely defeated. She couldn't believe anyone could overpower that armor and magic, especially someone from the rescue squad. At first, she assumed it was Rose, but when told it was someone else entirely, she was even more shocked. Meanwhile, Hierarch went to check on their massive snake weapon, but was stunned to find the heroes were already taking it down. They were determined not to let Yuzado down. Back at the main camp, Yuzado was working hard healing the injured. While everyone stayed focused, they all stopped to look up at the sky as the heroes launched a massive magical attack on the snake. Exhausted, but determined, they brought it down and everyone cheered. Rose approached Yuzado and informed him the enemy was pulling back. Yuzado wondered if they were going to chase after them, but Rose shut that idea down. The demons had far greater numbers, so chasing would only risk more lives. Their real goal was to keep losses to a minimum and prepare for the next battle. Rose said the only reason they won this time was because Yuzado saved the heroes. Yuzado, as usual, was humble. He believed Rose would have stepped in if he hadn't made it in time. But Rose told him clearly, if he hadn't been there, they would have lost the heroes, and possibly the entire fight. For the first time, she praised him for doing an excellent job as a member of the rescue team. Yuzado thought back to all the training and hardship, all the pain, all the battles, all the pushing forward. It was finally paying off. He started to cry, not even sure why. Rose looked at him and realized that under all that strength, Yuzado was still just a kid. He admitted that being on the battlefield had truly scared him. Seeing people die and demons attacking everywhere was terrifying. But even so, he was glad he met Rose because thanks to her, he had become someone who could save lives. Rose said there used to be others who said things like that, but now they only lived in her memories. Yuzado was still here, still alive, and for that, she was proud. He smiled at her praise, and then collapsed from exhaustion. Rose let him rest, proud of how far he had come. Later, Yuzado recalled being summoned to the castle after the war. He was nervous, but happy. It was the first time in his life he had ever been rewarded. As he tried to tell Blurin about it, the bear was too busy eating to care. Golem soon arrived with a new message. Yuzado had been called back to the castle again. He warned Yuzado to be careful on the way. Yuzado didn't understand why until he stepped outside and got swarmed by townspeople. After escaping a guard, thanked Yuzado for saving his comrades. Yuzado said they all did their part. One of the kids even said Yuzado was strong enough to be in the Royal Knights someday. Yuzado met the king, who asked for his help with something important. Siglius explained they needed Yuzado to meet the captured Black Knight. Surprisingly, she had been cooperative with questioning, but refused to say anything else unless she spoke directly to Yuzado. Suzune agreed to go with him and swore to protect him if the knight tried anything. Yuzado teased her, reminding her she already lost to the knight before. Siglius had an answer about how Yuzado beat her. The knight used dark magic, and Yuzado's healing magic countered it. Their powers canceled each other out. This gave Yuzado a horrifying realization. If his healing didn't work on her, she had taken all those punches without any protection. He rushed to see her, afraid of how badly she might be injured. The Black Knight, however, didn't care. She had accepted the pain. Inside her cell, the knight didn't know why she had asked to see Yuzado. When he reached for her hand, she assumed he was going to hurt her. Instead, he just started healing her. She panicked when the healing magic started removing her armor, but soon calmed down. For the first time, she felt peace and didn't want to let go of his hand. Tears streamed down her face as she held on a little longer. Afterward, Rose told Yuzado she would personally resume his training. With another battle against the demon army on the horizon, there were things he needed to learn. Rose told him that he relied too much on healing magic. If he ever faced a cursed weapon, healing wouldn't work, so he had to dodge. Rose launched him into the sky and punched him in the gut the moment he got back. Days passed, and Yuzado complained constantly because just when he got close to dodging, Rose would speed up. Later, the Black Knight sat quietly in her cell, wondering why Yuzado had come to visit. She heard footsteps and hoped it was him, but it was Rose. Rose told her the king had made a decision. The two choices were stay locked up forever or be trained directly by Rose herself. The knight thought it was insane, but Rose put a magic item on her that sealed her powers. Rose said it would be a waste to let her rot in jail. Back at home, Yuzado was out running with Blurin, but Rose kicked him hard, reminding him it was supposed to be his day off. Rose explained that she planned to turn the knight into a helper for the rescue team. That night, Rose revealed that the king wanted to form alliances. To deliver the king's messages, Suzune, Kazuki, and Yuzado were chosen. The next morning, girls wished Yuzado good luck. Just as Suzune showed up, Yuzado spotted the mysterious fox girl again. When he caught her, she told him she had been waiting. She needed him to save her mother. The fox girl introduced herself as Amako. At Yuzado's place, Amako explained everything. Her magical ability let her see the future, and she had come from the Beastlands to find a healer who could save her mother. Rose was another option, but Amako had already seen a vision where Rose turned her down. That's why she knew Yuzado was the only one who would agree to help. Rose immediately said they needed to tell the king about Amako. Later, the Black Knight refused to eat with the team, but Yuzado showed up and told her she had to eat too. She finally started softening up after he gave her a diary to write in. One day, she heard noise from the woods, and it turned out to be Yuzado getting destroyed by Rose. She was shocked he survived. From then on, the knight kept training under Yuzado, still surprised by his endurance. Yuzado eventually asked for her name, and she told him it was Felm. When Blurin showed up to run, Felm got upset and decided to race him. That night, Yuzado explained that Felm exhausted herself trying to outrun him and passed out. The next day, Felm overheard that Yuzado would be going to meet the king. She sneaked out early, but Rose chased her down. At the castle, Yuzado brought Amako with him. King Lloyd personally thanked the fox girl for helping save the kingdom. He allowed Yuzado to go to the Beastlands with Amako after delivering letters to 3 other countries. Yuzado got to choose his escorts. First, he picked Haruko, a gate guard. For the second, he surprised everyone by pointing to Blurin, who was chasing a butterfly. Meanwhile, Felm was running for her life from Rose. That night, Yuzado told Felm he would be leaving the next day. Rose warned him that the journey ahead would be nothing like what he had experienced before. She believed the journey would change him, but had full faith that he would succeed. The next day, everyone said their goodbyes. The heroes left with Kazuki, Suzune, and Amako leading the way while Felm collapsed from exhaustion. Yuzado looked ahead, excited and ready for a journey full of new people, tough challenges, and unexpected adventures. Alright, so if you actually made it through this entire insane journey watching some complete nobody transform into the most overpowered healer in existence, then you absolutely need to answer this critical question in the comments right now. Would you survive even one single day of Rose's psychotic training program? Or would you be tapping out faster than Yuzado wanted to quit on day 3? Because let's be real, most of us would be crying and begging for mercy within the first hour of her nightmare regime. If you genuinely loved this breakdown where we witnessed the most brutal training arc that makes every other anime look like a relaxing vacation and proved that healing magic users are secretly the most broken characters when trained by an absolute psychopath, then you better smash that like button until it breaks and subscribe to the Curious Nerd channel for more anime recaps that will make you question why anyone would willingly get isekai'd when the training programs are specifically designed to break your body and spirit simultaneously. Hit that notification bell, like Rose is chasing you through the forest, because you definitely don't want to miss when we drop our next video analyzing another protagonist who gets summoned to another world and immediately regrets every single life choice that led to that moment. Drop a comment down below telling us which isekai protagonist had the most insane training arc that actually prepared them for battle, instead of just giving them cheat skills and god mode powers, because apparently this anime believes in earning your strength through literal torture, and we're absolutely here for it. Thanks for sticking around through this entire emotional roller coaster, featuring the most aggressive healer who punches harder than most warriors, and a mentor who makes drill sergeants look like kindergarten teachers. And remember, the next time you complain about your workout routine, just be grateful Rose isn't your personal trainer, because you'd be doing push-ups with boulders on your back while she stands on top of you yelling about how pathetic you are. Until next time, this is Curious Nerd, reminding you that healing magic is only as powerful as your willingness to suffer through training that would make grown men cry. And we'll catch you in the next breakdown, where we'll probably watch another protagonist discover that getting summoned to a fantasy world is way less fun than the manga made it seem.